What is going on, everybody? So I've been playing a ton of PC games, but the one that caught my eye and I've been looking forward to for a while was No More Heroes 3. No More Heroes 3 was a huge reason I bought the Nintendo Switch. All of the surprise Nintendo exclusives like Bowser's Fury and third-party games like Crisis Core Remastered and Doom Eternal were just great bonuses. But from the beginning, Nintendo announced No More Heroes 3, or a potential No More Heroes 3, if Travis Touchdown sold well enough. And I knew for a fact that it was coming to the Nintendo Switch, so I waited almost 5 years for that game. And besides Bayonetta 3, No More Heroes 3 was an exclusive that sold the Nintendo Switch for me. And eventually it arrived and I freaking loved it, but there were a lot of aspects to the game that were not as polished as I wanted them to be. The graphics were rough to say the least, with a lot of the game's backdrops simply colored white and green. Sometimes there would be an alien spaceship location or fighting arena, but even those areas seemed uninspired and just lazily put together. And I knew part of the reason for No More Heroes 3's lackluster presentation was because the lack of power from the Nintendo Switch, and the fact that all of No More Heroes is rendered with cel-shaded graphics, which is already taxing for the CPU and GPU, or integrated graphics. So the Nintendo Switch had no chance to make No More Heroes 3 look even as good as Part 1 or 2, because its appearance was just too complex and different from the Wii and Wii U. So I decided to give No More Heroes 3 a chance on the PC. And playing No More Heroes 3 on PC with 1080p, 120 FPS, and max settings, that simple yet complex aesthetic of the game doesn't come across as lazy anymore. I would say the aesthetic changed to a point there were characters I didn't recognize in the original Nintendo Switch version that I did, which changed the story completely. I had no idea that Sylvia was working for Damon this whole time. I thought that was just some other random blonde-haired girl, because her accent changes, and the original Switch version characters all looked so janky and there was basically no anti-alias. So when I played No More Heroes 3 on the PC, a lot of those cutscenes were kind of a revelation, to say the least. I started to see finer details and resemblances from one character to another, let's just say that. And everything just looks so crisp and stylish in comparison, which surprised me because a lot of reviews say that No More Heroes 3 on PC doesn't look all that different. I'm not sure what they wanted the PC version to add, if they wanted extra textures or for it to look realistic, but No More Heroes has always had an anime cel-shaded aesthetic to it that fits the series perfectly, in my opinion. So seeing all of those anime-esque details and style, with every single line not being jaggy, with the anti-alias turned all the way up, was a sight to behold. It looked amazing. And speaking of a better experience, this video has been sponsored by the great people at Surfshark. When it comes to being on the go and getting the proper security, a lot of the times antivirus and anti-malware software just doesn't cut it. So I add an extra layer of security. Surfshark provides the best security and protects you, especially when you're connecting to public Wi-Fi or even a mobile hotspot. If you want to protect your devices against hackers that want to get a hold of your credit card and bank details, social media passwords, email login credentials, or any other personal information that can put you in danger, especially while you're connected to public Wi-Fi or your mobile hotspot, Surfshark VPN helps to encrypt all of that information so that if a hacker tries to even look at it, it'll end up looking like scrambled nonsense. Surfshark can also pretty much teleport you and your computer to any country around the world. So say you're watching Netflix or Hulu and want to watch a specific show like Snowpiercer, but it's not available in your country, like say America. So with Surfshark VPN, you can pretty much transport any PC you're using, or in my case, handheld Windows PC, to any country around the world. And in my case, that's either Canada, the UK, or Australia, in order to watch a show like Snowpiercer. And right now you can get Surfshark VPN and get an exclusive Surfshark deal. Just enter the promo code TORO for an extra 3 months free at the affiliate link below, and I'll provide the affiliate link below in the description. And make sure to protect all your devices and watch any show you want on either Netflix or Hulu with Surfshark VPN. And again, thank you Surfshark for sponsoring this video. But the only reason this is recently sinking in is because I recently got to play No More Heroes 3 on my ROG Ally 1080p, 120 FPS on the go, and I'm loving every single second of it. The stylized combat and the fast-paced action is really sinking in this time around. With No More Heroes 3 on the go on the Nintendo Switch, the game looked absolutely horrible. I'm not sure how they were able to push that out the door and call that gold. The original Switch version was abysmal and probably one of the worst looking games on Nintendo Switch. But it's all good now. We can play games like this at 1080p on the go, easy. All you have to do is go to Best Buy and buy an ROG Ally. And this is not a sponsor. I'm saying you gotta try one for yourself. Because playing a game like No More Heroes 3, which was originally on the Nintendo Switch, on the ROG Ally on the go, shows the difference from Nintendo Switch to Nintendo Switch Pro, aka ROG Ally. And I guess the reason why I'm talking about this is because a lot of people are talking about Nintendo Switch 2 and the fact that Nintendo actually disclosed certain details about it. So when they come out with the Super Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch Pro or Nintendo Switch Pro 2, it's going to be able to play No More Heroes 3 with higher fidelity and potentially 1080p. If it's not 1080p, that would be extremely disappointing because it's not OLED. So I'm assuming it's LCD because they plan on providing the Nintendo Switch 2 with a 1080p screen instead. So in the future, if you own No More Heroes 3 on the original Nintendo Switch or the OLED, you may be able to play with these type of graphics and resolution. Maybe not 120 FPS, but if we're lucky, Nintendo might consider that. But anyway, as for now, the ROG Ally is able to do all these amazing things with Nintendo Switch games. And getting back into No More Heroes 3, the gameplay actually feels a lot better on the PC version because of the higher FPS. I'm able to react to things a lot easier and the enemies aren't so telegraphed. There are so many different types of enemies in No More Heroes 3 that you would think the difficulty would spike up while you're fighting them, but surprisingly, because of the frame drops in the Nintendo Switch version, a lot of the enemies are kind of pushovers. But playing in the same difficulty, which is bitter, I was having a tough time, but my reaction time wasn't the problem, it was just me. And No More Heroes 3 was actually challenging for a change. And if we're going down to the smallest detail, but I don't think this is a small detail, the audio in the game sounds so much better. It's not compressed to all hell, and you can hear smaller details. Everything is a lot more bassier and feels like a much more theatrical experience because the audio is just so much more crisp now. And overall, I just absolutely love No More Heroes 3 on Steam or PC, especially while playing it on the go on the ROG Ally. It just feels like it's at home. And I was able to buy the game and play the third-party version, so that means I never have to connect to the internet on the ROG Ally specifically, because the third-party version just doesn't work on the Steam Deck. That was one of the first things I tried. It didn't work. No More Heroes 1 and 2 works, but sometimes it just doesn't show up when you're trying to play it on the Steam Deck. I digress. If I'm trying to name off Steam Deck issues, I'll be here forever. But playing ROG Ally, no issues. It's a wonderful time. I highly recommend No More Heroes 3, specifically on the ROG Ally, because you can hit those higher frames. And I'm fully convinced that the PC version of No More Heroes 3 is so much better than the Nintendo Switch version. But how much better is it? I would say 100% better. I've been having such an amazing time with it, and originally I didn't really like it as much as part 1 and 2, but I'm starting to come around to No More Heroes 3. I just love the extra details that I'm able to actually witness instead of looking away from while you're roaming through the open world with Travis's Akira-like motorcycle. Instead of looking away from the white and green, I'm starting to notice that those locations are gentrified locations. They are made from Damon's actions. And the reason why Santa Destroy is being targeted is because it's basically like old Brooklyn and you're fighting for it, which makes me want to beat the bad guys so much more because I actually went through that in real life where my neighborhood was being gentrified and they were kicking everybody out, including me and my family. And so seeing Travis fight for the world, but basically also fighting for Santa Destroy is an amazing thing to witness. And there is something homey about roaming around Santa Destroy and seeing all the citizens because it kind of reminds me of home and how it just used to be there, you know? But yeah, I can't stop playing No More Heroes games and I'm having an absolute blast with No More Heroes 3 on PC. And the ROG Ally just makes that experience so much better. You guys just need to try No More Heroes 3. It is such a weird experience, but that's the reason why it's so good. You don't know what to expect from No More Heroes games. 1 second you're fighting on the street with a beam katana, aka lightsaber, and the next you're fighting in space with a giant mech. You don't know what to expect, but it is absolutely a bunch of crazy anime nonsense that you'll grow to love without a doubt, just like I have over the course of 15 years. Since games like Killer 7, I've realized that there is another genre of game that can come from the irony of all video games, and that is No More Heroes. I think the reason why it's called No More Heroes was because at the time there were a lot of superhero-esque games, and Suda51 wanted to make the title of the game let you know that this isn't just another superhero game. I still think No More Heroes 1 is the best, but 3 is pretty much up there with the greats, especially after playing it with such high fidelity and in its best form. But yeah, let me know if you played No More Heroes 3, or if you even know what this series is, because once you dive into the world of Suda51 with Killer 7 and all the No More Heroes games, you'll never want to leave. It's something very different, and something you just need. Just like with the Metal Gear Solid games, I feel like those games is an element that the video game world needed. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one. Later.
Projection mapping, right? I'm already sick of seeing that shit. With this sort of thing, from like the second time you see it, your brain already understands what's going on. You can't not see it as fake. Oh, snap. Snap, crackle, and yippee pop.